Hi, this is Isabel Litzler, Pleiade HC, the place to be to develop your skills and grow your potential. So I've been traveling the last couple of weeks. I'm doing this video on audio so that I'm able to provide a video for this week. I have a quick announcement as well. Within my on-demand type of services, I'm now extending options a little bit more because I noticed people have a lot of quick type of questions where they just need an answer. So I'm offering services where I can answer by email against a fee, or I can also do on request videos. This gives a little bit more options for people who just have, again, those couple of issues or questions, and I can resolve the problem quickly by just replying. And it's also for you some value, immediate value. So you're welcome to check my website under the on-demand type of career guidance to view a little bit the panel of services. The easiest thing is to send me an email, contact@pleiadehc.com with your particular career issue. Make sure you're very detailed because I cannot give you a proper quote or estimate of how much I need to go into depth to give you an answer if it's too broad. So make sure you give me your particular question very detailed by email, and I'll send you a quote on the price, how much it costs for me to answer, and that will be it. So without further ado, let's move to this week's topic on sectors recruiting in Switzerland. The first thing I want to say is that now I'm going to talk more for people who are EU, because again, I always separate within Switzerland people who have an EU passport and a non-EU passport. And it's not something that I want to do personally. It's just that in Switzerland, as I said in previous videos, if you're non-EU, the options are definitely much more narrow, and I will make a little bit of a special presentation at the end for non-EU because they're a little bit of a particular case. So now if you're an EU national and you have an EU passport, the following applies to you if you're looking for a job in Switzerland. So the first thing you want to do in terms of knowing which sectors are hiring is to check the market. So I always say this in my videos, there's what you want to do, which is great, but you have to pay attention to the market. And this is a little bit unfortunate. Sometimes people go for very advanced education, pay a lot of money, and they realize, oops, where I'm living right now, there's no need. So you have to forecast a little bit where you want to be in your life in terms of country or area so that you can prepare for the right education. So I also talk about having a laptop type of career, which lets you work wherever you want, because now people are a little bit more mobile, and expats especially. So this is also a separate topic I will make a video on. But really to focus on opportunities in Switzerland, what you want to do as an EU national is figure out what is the market. So I'll give you 3 websites where you can get a broad view of the market. The first one, of course, is indeed.ch. Gives you a very, very good idea of the market. The second one, for more the Swiss-German part, is jobs.ch. And for the French part, it's jobup.ch. So I will give you the references in the text below. So really study the local market. Find out what type of jobs are out there. This is the number one thing. So before you go, especially into further education, especially if you're already in Switzerland, make sure that it fits what you want to do and that there's a job for it. So if you say, okay, I want to study liberal arts, or I want to study, I don't know, education or something very broad, and you're not sure there's a job, that will be a waste of money. So make sure, again, there's a market for what you want to study. So that's number one, is check the market. Do it broadly as well. Don't look at just Geneva or Lausanne or Zurich. Make sure you do a Swiss-wide search so that you can have an idea of the whole market. Number 2, so what sectors are recruiting? So in Switzerland, basically the big trend, or this is more the typical Switzerland that people know, it's known for insurance and finance. Those are the 2 leading areas where you have a lot of jobs, where Switzerland is quite known and respected. A lot of large banks are in Switzerland, large insurance companies. So if you're doing work around those 2 fields, chances are these 2 sectors will provide jobs for you. Again, I've said this before, but languages are important. So if you're in insurance or banking, but you only speak English, it will be limited options for you. But if you speak French or German, the opportunities will increase. So the languages will definitely help. But those two sectors always provide jobs in Switzerland: banking, finance, insurance. This is really known. The second sector that's providing more and more opportunities, and it's growing worldwide, not just in Switzerland, but especially in Switzerland, the tech industry. Switzerland wants to really grow the whole tech sector in pharma, research, also in websites, web, I would say, companies, cryptocurrencies. So for some of you who are not familiar, cryptocurrencies, they are basically, you have people who are launching their own coin offerings. So they're developing their own online coin, which is something that's all digital, and they create basically startups for this. So the main one that's known is Bitcoin. So Switzerland is also trying to catch this train on having a hub, mostly in the Swiss-German part in Zug, where they have a lot of jobs around those cryptocurrencies. So if you work around IT, you're in digital, you're, let's say, a software engineer, you're also working in anything that's linked to security, web security. You do marketing for websites, digital marketing. You probably have some jobs in Zug, in the Swiss-German part. So this is a growing market that I've observed and I've been following up on. Of course, in the French side, there's also a lot of startups because, again, this FinTech is really growing. So anything linked to FinTech or, anything with healthcare. Healthcare is another sector that's growing in Switzerland. So, of course, there's the tech part of healthcare, MedTech, I would call it, but there's also anything linked to hospitals, so if you're a doctor or nurse or, taking care of people, there's also a lot of opportunities, basically caring for humans, whether it's in a medical sense or in a help for the individual. Lots of jobs. This is a little bit less, I would say, high level, not necessarily a manager level position or a professional level position, but you have a lot of opportunities on social work in general. So, and this would obviously need to speak the local language, because if you work in assisting, let's say, elderly people or children or whatever, you need to speak the local language. So again, I'm going back to the importance of speaking the language of wherever you target in Switzerland: French, Italian, or German, Swiss German. So again, I see tech as growing. I see MedTech and FinTech as growing. These are the big ones. Of course, there's always a need for people who are admins. However, again, if you're an admin, if you're a supporter, let's say secretary, admin assistant, you do need the language skills. That will be probably your way of entering any kind of company in Switzerland, especially if you target the smaller organization. They need people who speak the local language. So again, admin assistant, you will find some positions. So these are the main sectors that are hiring in Switzerland. You also have the development sector, not for profit, in Geneva. So if you're someone who works for, let's say, diplomacy or, humanitarian type of work, Geneva is definitely the place to be, with the United Nations and all the other international organizations there. You would probably find some opportunities. However, you have to have the profile for it. So if you say, okay, I've been a banker all of my life and now I want to work for the UN, the transition there might not be so easy. The UN tend to look for people who have done diplomacy or international affairs type of degrees. Of course, if you're in a finance or HR type of function, there could be some potential for opportunities. Depends really on which companies you worked for and the transition there. So this is something that I would need to do an analysis on with your profile to see what is your chance to get through in the United Nations or the international organizations in Switzerland. So this leads me very smoothly into the non-EU type of passport holders, because for you guys who are non-EU, it's really limited. So all the things I said above, really the only one that you could target is the United Nations. So all the private sector type of opportunities, there's very low chance that they would hire you, especially if you're not in Switzerland. Typically, non-EU are coming to Switzerland. Let's say you marry someone in Switzerland, or you get some kind of accompanying spouse type of permit, that would work. But if you're in another country and you say, I want to work in Switzerland, I'm based in another country, the chances are probably close to none. The United Nations, it's different because they hire worldwide and they don't have to apply for a work permit. They give you a different type of permit, so they're a little bit outside of the system, as I call it. So your chances there are a little bit bigger. But if you're telling me, I want to work for a bank or I want to work for, I don't know, a company, a private sector company, they won't look at you because they already have so many applications every day from locals or people who are from Europe already. They just don't need non-EU residents at this stage. So again, your search is really limited to the international organizations and international organizations who can recruit worldly. So it's very, very niche, small sector. So this is all you have. If you have an idea of starting a business in Switzerland, and this will be a completely different scenario, but let's say you're an entrepreneur and you've built businesses, maybe in the country where you are, that's a different ball game there because you're coming as an entrepreneur. Maybe you come with some funding, some investment, so it's a little bit different. You would go a different route there. You won't go through the I'm looking for a job route, but I'm coming with investments. I want to buy property, maybe buy space, and I want to establish a restaurant or hotel or something like this. Then it's a little bit different. You would still have to go through a permit process, but you're coming again as an entrepreneur, so it's a little bit different, or as a business owner. You would still need to prove that you have a business plan. So it's not like, oh, okay, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to start, building a business in Switzerland. That's not enough. You would have to show you have an actual plan, and you have investments and you have resources. It's the same thing if you go to another country. I've gone through the process with the US. It's the exact same thing. You have to show that you can support yourself and support your activity because they want to avoid people who come and become dependent on the government. So again, it's possible if you're an entrepreneur to build a business in Switzerland. Again, the caveat to that would be how much do you know about the country? Being an entrepreneur is already difficult if you know the region. So if you don't know it, not only do you have to deal with building the business, getting the permit, but also not knowing the country. So I would just bring some attention to that. So to summarize, what are the sectors recruiting in Switzerland? If you're EU passport holder, there's quite a lot to work with if you check those websites that I just showed you, where you can have a chance. Again, knowing that people who are already in Switzerland with a working permit are going to be priority. But if you're non-EU, again, it's going to be pretty much the UN and a few other organizations that will be just in a nutshell that you can apply for. I'll also give you a link of where to find those job opportunities. It's basically unjobs.org. So you can check that out if you're not sitting in Switzerland right now and you want to see a little bit what it's like. But again, make sure that if you have a project, if you have a career question, make sure you send me an email, detailed email of what your project is, what you want to achieve, and I'll give you a reply to see how I can help you with my on-demand services. Thank you very much.